Hey guys, I'm Dr. Josh with the Premier Life of Carmel, and welcome to the Premier Podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about sleeplessness and what that's doing to everybody. Guys, we live in a culture where most people are dealing with some kind of poor sleep or poor sleeping habits. So if you guys are waking up and you're exhausted, or you're going through the middle of the day and you're feeling that drowsiness, pay attention, sit down and get settled in, because we're going to talk about some really cool stuff. And even if you are waking up and you're feeling energized and you're feeling great, remember, we can't base all of our health based purely on how we feel. So for those of you that are still feeling good, I'm going to implore you to still settle in, because there's going to be some things here that I think is going to really affect you. And so let's talk about sleep. Let's talk about some of the findings that we're having with sleep and some of the poor sleep that we're associated with. We're seeing that sleepless, most of us, we know the recommended amount of sleep is anywhere between 8 to 10 hours a night, right? And we're looking at this at a quantity aspect. I'm not necessarily saying we're doing a great job of looking at the quality, but we're looking at this on a quantity aspect. And I will say, healthy sleeping habits doesn't always mean that if you get 8 hours or more, that you're getting the right type of restoration for your body. But sleeping less than 6 hours per night increased the risks of all-cause mortality rates by 12%. Guys, it's crazy. One sleepless night deprives of deprivation. So one night of sleep deprivation can cause up to a 70% drop of natural killer cells. Guys, these are the part of our immune system that actually go after cancer cells, go after viruses. So this impacts our immune system. Chronic insomnia is associated with a 200% increase in anxiety and depression. Guys, I think we can all agree that our anxiety and depression rates are through the roof, and they have been for a long time. But how many people are thinking, can my sleep actually affect that? And the answer is yes. After 17 to 19 hours with sleep deprivation, your reaction time actually gets worse. So this isn't only affecting the way we think, this is affecting how our brain to body connection is working. If you are driving a car and somebody's getting close, or someone's driving in towards your vehicle, you want to be able to react properly. And this is slowing those things down. And the average adult gets 1.5 hours less sleep per night than those of the 1950s. Okay. So here's the thing, guys, our sleeping habits are continuing to decline. And part of that is just the lifestyle that we have. I mean, guys, we have got more stimulation now than I think really we ever have. We have more articles that we're reading all the time. We have more different fluorescent light exposure, blue light exposure all the time. We are constantly being inundated by all of these different stimuli, and it's affecting us. It's affecting us on a sleep basis. And this isn't just affecting sleep, it's affecting the rest of our body. I talked about the natural killer cells, but they're seeing that sleep is impacting multiple systems of the body: immune system, endocrine system, cardiovascular system. And some of the things that can support that are chronic sleep deprivation will suppress the immune system, not only its response, but decrease white blood cell count and impair antibody production. It diminishes those. So poor sleep affects each of those things in the immune system. It affects our endocrine system. So they're finding diminished sleep can also equal less testosterone and less growth hormone. So dads, fellas, if we're not developing healthy sleep patterns, we're going to see low test levels. And right now, when we look at test levels, in general, men right now have some of the lowest test levels. Do you think sleep can be playing a role in that? Yes, 100%. Same thing with weight gain. They're seeing low sleep levels affect larger amounts of weight gain. Just 4 days of poor sleep can actually mimic a pre-diabetic glucose levels. 4 days of poor sleep mimics pre-diabetic glucose levels. That's crazy. On the cardiovascular section right here, less than 6 hours of sleep can actually triple your risk of hypertension and it'll also increase your heart rate variability, which makes it unstable and a sign of autonomic imbalance. they're finding that it increases Alzheimer's rates by 33%. It creates plaquing. Metabolic system. I say that because like this is something that for a lot of people is a missing piece. And a lot of us want to think, okay, well, if I have poor sleep, then I just need more melatonin. We accumulate sleep with melatonin. We just need to substitute it with a hormone that we're not getting. But I want to tell you, it goes deeper than that. Okay, because we have to start looking at the source of all things. We have to start looking at the one system that controls it all, and that's our nervous system. Okay, and you guys hear that and think, for instance, it's not so much of a like, hey, I'm not getting a good enough amount of sleep. It's a safety perception issue. Like our body, when our body feels like it's under attack, when our sympathetics are in overdrive, for instance. And this is the big part that we're missing, is when we have an imbalance between our autonomic nervous system, between sympathetics and parasympathetics, when our sympathetics are high and we feel like we're under attack, because that's what goes up when like a bear jumps into this room, for instance. I've used that metaphor many times. But that's what's going to activate. And I want that to do that, because if a bear jumps into this room, I want that to initiate. I want to get out of here. I want to try to survive. But when we are constantly being overstimulated all the time, it drives sympathetic activity. And then our body feels like it's in survival mode all the time. And it feels like it's under attack 24/7. And so this will inhibit. So when your sympathetics are firing, this inhibits your sleep cycle. And this will it'll actually shift your entire visceral activity. So digestion, hormone release, that's what happens when you get the sympathetic drive. Same thing. If a bear jumps in here, like your body is not concerned with, I need to make sure I'm having healthy, balanced hormones, or being able to rest and digest, or make sure I have proper blood flow to my visceral. It's like, hey, how do I get out of here? And again, we're being so overstimulated by all these different things. It's just not working, And so I hear this. When I first started looking at this, I thought of myself, because I'm a parent. I have 3 kids at home, and I've had, I would say, years of not the best sleep, and I know that the body has an amazing ability to adapt, and it's going to adapt to whatever you do with it. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's not good, and so I know that my body has adapted to poor sleeping habits, and I know that for the long run, this is not going to be beneficial to me or my family. And so I know that I'm not the only person in that boat, right? I'm not the only person that has developed a poor sleeping habit or had some loss of sleep because of our little ones that we love so much, but they're kids, and that's just part of being a kid. And I'm the only one that's had one bad night's sleep. And I say one because one bad night's sleep can start to initiate the pattern in that direction. It can put you into a sympathetic overdrive, And so I say this because I resonated with this. And I know there are many more that can think back to go, yeah, I have had a few bad nights, but I don't feel it. And that's where I want to caution you on the feeling, is just because you feel like good, or you feel like you're waking up with energy, doesn't necessarily mean things are always working out the best for you. And in here, I tell everybody, like, if you base your health on how you feel, it's one of the most dangerous ways to live. Because we all know somebody that felt great and had a heart attack, or felt great and got a cancer diagnosis. And so we have to start removing ourselves out of the way of just basing things on how we feel, which I'm not saying your feelings don't matter. It's great information, but we can't just hang our hat on that. And we have to start looking at how the body really works, and how do we lead our body in the direction that we want to go. And guys, this is why we do That's why we do this. That's why we do podcasts. That's why we practice the way that we do. But it takes a specific approach to re-educate your system to change that, because that is completely possible. You have an amazing, like I said, you have an amazing ability to adapt, and you can consciously change that. But it takes work. It takes the right protocol. It takes the right people. And that's what we are going, that's why we practice the way that we do. That's actually why we're having a entire event based on this subject. We're actually having a dinner coming up on June 24th where we're actually going to be diving into this deeper of why are we seeing such problems with sleep? How are we getting things back to the way they work? How do we actually navigate true healing, natural functions so that the body does what it wants to do, so that we can be there for the people that we love? But if we're not taking initiative and we're not taking steps into that direction, we're never going to get there. And we've had these types of events here for years. We've had this for so long. And we have practice members here who continue to go to every single one of these events. I talked to one today who's never missed one. And you look back at them and their name is there for every single one. And you know what? That is one of the most healthy individuals I know. These people are some of the most healthy individuals. They never waver in their worry on how the body works. They know exactly what to do in the right time. They know exactly how to trust their body, but they can't get there if they're not actively dipping into this kind of stuff. And that's what I want to invite you guys to do. Is we have a dinner coming up on June 24th. If you haven't been to one, I highly recommend you're there, because this is where people get anchored to what true health principles actually are. And they really actually completely change the paradigm that they have on health and healing, especially with specific problems like loss of sleep. Whether that's you, whether that's your kids, whether that's your parents, whether that's a friend of yours, like, you're going to get information here that's going to help you. And it's not just information, it's going to be action steps for you to take control over your health. And so I implore you guys, like, please, if you want to get the most out of your health, sign up for this event. And I will say, like, there's a limited amount of seats. These things fill up quickly. So for those of you that hear this and you go, yeah, I do want to know how to maximize on my sleep. I do want to know what life would be like if I was performing at my best. Then I think this is going to be right up your alley. And if you know somebody that's like that, either is struggling in their health journey or struggling in this topic or another, I think this is going to be a really great gateway for them to see, like, what their body is truly capable of. And so for those of you that resonate with this, please take advantage of this opportunity. Get there, prioritize yourself and your health. Guys, that's my time. I'm Dr. Josh, and let's grow together.